listening to In Your Face Sports.
Time to pick up some yards!
Here at Cuesta College.
That's it, don't be shy now.
Produced by DHK Productions.
Let's get into it. All right, hello and welcome. My name is Alex Katona.
And I'm Jared Hayes. You're watching In Your Face Sports right here at KGUR Cuesta College Radio. Coming back from Week 9, let's head into the first quarter headline. The Chiefs got a tough win against the Dolphins in Frankfurt, Germany, 21-14. There was a wild defensive play at the end of the first half by Trent McDuffie and Brian Cook. Are the Chiefs still obvious Super Bowl contenders after that game against the Dolphins?
I think they are.
Absolutely, me too.
Even with the Broncos game and them being 7-2 or the 7-2 at that point, I still never question their ability to be the Super Bowl favorites, at least for now. And what's actually funny about this, as something I read yesterday, and this headline, is the Chiefs' defense is kind of like that. Like, they're kind of dangerous, and you don't really think about it because you think of like their offense. You think of the offense.
Absolutely,
but
they look great in the first half, especially.
Yeah,
my goodness,
especially with Mahomes. But like the defense with Steve Spagnuolo and like Chris Jones, obviously Trent McDuffie's like a second or third year player. He's doing well. He's going up.
Great.
Like they have it all.
Yeah, they're a very well-rounded team. I'm with you.
Yeah, and Mahomes is obviously going to do what he needs to do, but I think it's kind of a little bit more reassuring knowing that they can go into these shootouts with Joe Burrow, who we know is he's gonna be there at the very end. Maybe not the Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to, but he's fourth in the division right now, and I still do not question his ability to make it to the AFC Conference Championship game. But the Chiefs have like Chris Jones, who I mentioned, who really can like take over a game, and it's like you need.
He's like TJ Watt. He's a game wrecker.
Yeah, TJ. But the thing that's the big difference, and I hate to trash on the Steelers.
Not as good as TJ though.
Yeah, TJ Watt is definitely better, but the Steelers need TJ Watt to do well. Pretty much every game that they win, there's probably one part of it that TJ Watt helped. One large part of it that TJ Watt helped. But the thing about the Chiefs is Chris Jones could not even play. And I know he didn't play week 1 and they lost, but Travis Kelce also didn't play. But like, they don't need their defense to be absurd every single week, and they could still blow out a team.
Absolutely.
And their defense could play like defense could play horrible, or they could play great, and it could be any type of game, and the Chiefs can win it.
Right, and going back to that Chiefs offense that's so dangerous, you have to admit the receivers looked a lot more efficient. They weren't dropping as many balls. Valdez-Scantling had that horrible touchdown drop. But overall, I think the receivers for the Chiefs are looking a lot more defined in their positions, and they're looking a lot more efficient. I think Pat Mahomes had a great bounce-back week after that loss to the Broncos. And I just think now that the receivers are kind of on the right footing, so to speak, with Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, I think this offense has become a lot more dangerous, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I have a question for you, and this is kind of an odder question. So, I'm pretty sure we both watched the quarterback show, and we've watched behind-the-scenes stuff of Mahomes, and you could just tell he kind of has that, like, he's like the ideal quarterback with, like, his leadership, his desire to win. I mean, not every quarterback has that. Like, a lot of quarterbacks do, but, like, you have to be special. Like, he's special,
bro.
Oh,
absolutely. He is the leader of that team.
Yeah. Like, and he's, like, the definitive definition of a leader.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
Why I said that is, do you think that persona that he carries, or that persona that he has, do you think that was a huge reason for the wide receivers, not just this year but last year, maybe just in general, for why Chiefs wide receivers can maybe not start off a season so good, but when it matters, really pick it up, because he has that ability? Mahomes has that ability.
100%. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has that incredible locker room presence and on the field presence to really boost the talent around him. And he's an amazing leader, like we were saying. And that is a huge reason, the primary reason why these receivers are getting better. And, you know, speaking of receivers, this was supposed to be Tyreek Hill's, like, return to Kansas City, right? So I'm not sure why the NFL decided to flex the game to Frankfurt, Germany at, like, 6:30 in the morning instead of maybe flexing it to a primetime slot or even if it was just in Kansas City at 10 a.m. I feel like it should have been in Kansas City. It would have made it much more exciting.
Yeah, that would have been a lot better. I think maybe what they could have tried to been going for, which still considering the game's at 6:30, that 6:30 in the morning, that didn't give off the same energy.
Yeah.
But they must have been going for like two high-powered offenses, obviously maybe arguably the most high-powered offenses. In the season, especially in the AFC. No one cares about the Ravens. But so they must have been thinking, well, hey, we got two high-powered offenses. Let's just put them outside of the country and just have them do a crazy game. And it was definitely a really good game, 21-14. But
how can you not have it at Arrowhead, man?
That's true.
You know?
And then I think kind of further ending it, I mean, they must have maybe partly been going for that, like, Mexico City game that they had with the Rams, Chiefs, like, Mahomes MVP year. Oh, Mahomes' first MVP year.
Yeah.
Got two now. Where they scored, it was like 49-50 or something like that. I know that wasn't the exact score, but I think it was like 51 to something. And they must have been like going for that whole vibe.
Yeah,
but you are
I
completely
get that.
right.
Yeah.
Because
You know what I
like
mean?
now they meet in the playoffs, and we're gonna assume it's an Arrowhead because I'm gonna assume they have the first seed. It's like it's kind of ruined because it's like this is Tyreek Hill returned to Arrowhead,
Yeah.
but it's like it's the second time they played, and it's not as cool.
It's not the first time, you know, and so I feel like the NFL could have handled that better. I mean, the highlight from Tyreek Hill was a fumble that got recovered by Trent McDuffie, lateraled to Brian Cook. That was a crazy play, huh?
Yeah,
Ran it all the way back to the house. Wow.
That is such like Chiefs Travis Kelce. He had some times where he caught the ball, and then there was like that one play against the Lions. It was a couple of years ago. He caught the ball, he got hit right away, and then he tossed it backwards to LaShawn McCoy, and then he ran like an extra 30 yards.
The Chiefs seem to have those kind of crazy plays, don't they?
Yeah, and they work. So it's
Don't
like,
they ever?
why not? I mean, that's just a whole nother level. And I know we're kind of getting a little bit away from the headline, but I feel like this is worth mentioning since we haven't talked about too much about Mahomes, and he's obviously the face of the NFL. But like, I know a lot of players are frustrated. I'm not players. Players. There's a general frustration around Mahomes because he doesn't play the quarterback the conventional way like he does. You saw that clip of like
slinging
him,
it sidearm.
Yeah,
He's
sidearm.
making plays out of nothing.
throwing the ball like behind his back to the running back right next to him.
That's something you love to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I do love to see it, but I learned it really came to like realization when I heard an interview from Cam Hayward, and obviously I love Cam Hayward for the Steelers, and I value his word maybe higher than other NFL players, but he's like these defensive linemen or players or something or quarterbacks. It's just these NFL players. They work their entire life to like master their craft.
That's right.
Yeah, and do their position. I know that's right. Do their position as well as possible. And then Mahomes comes in here and he does absurd throwing
It just
angles.
seems like such a natural. Like,
Yeah.
he just does it.
But
you
yeah,
know?
but he
It's
does
like magic. Mahomes magic.
Yeah, but he does practice a lot. Like he uses that towel to like do multiple angles.
Yep. He has like one of the best personal trainers in the league, like we saw from that quarterback documentary.
Yeah.
Gets him all stretched out, ready to go in every single way possible.
Yeah, but like he's doing these angles, and it's kind of I can understand how it's upsetting. And then if you compare that to Joe Burrow does all the conventional.
He's very
quarterbacking,
conventional, yeah.
But he just does it to a
He
top
does it
tier
so
level.
well. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's easier to root for Burrow than Mahomes. Just in general, I mean, obviously Chiefs fans and like specific fans of the NFL probably root for Mahomes more over Joe Burrow, but I think the general population likes Joe Burrow more because and I didn't mean to get off topic, but I just thought.
It's completely fair.
And so then, I don't know.
That's the 2-minute warning.
That's a 2-minute warning.
All right. Technically, okay. Sorry, that threw me off a little bit. We are moving on to the second quarter. So does the 2-minute. Sorry.
Got 2 minutes left.
That threw me off for a second.
But just the last question for this headline. Besides them being obvious Super Bowl contenders, do you think they're the most dangerous team in the AFC right now?
I think the
Ravens
Dolphins. The Dolphins. I don't fear them as much.
No.
Like in the AFC.
They've yet to beat a team with a winning record.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the Dolphins are 0-3 against winning teams this year so far, including the Chiefs. So I think that kind of, and obviously the direct win by the Chiefs over them kind of puts them below on the totem pole. I'd say the Ravens are probably the only other team besides the Chiefs in the AFC that are really contenders, and the Bengals if they continue to look how they've looked.
Yeah, I did kind of forget about the Bengals.
Steelers are up there with that defense, and Pickett looked great in his last game. So
that's true.
But personally, I think they are the cream of the crop, except for the Ravens. It is 1 and 1A right there. Just because the Ravens' defense is just playing lights out, they're playing outstanding football, and so is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, the Ravens are doing great. I mean, they destroyed their two NFC opponents. It was like 39. It was like 50-something to 9 points accumulated between the Lions game and the Seahawks game. The Lions only scored 6, I think. The Seahawks only scored 3, and then both times the Ravens scored. But here's my thing about the Ravens. So just kind of to clear things up, I think it's not in any specific order, but the Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, and when it comes to playoffs, because playoffs is the only thing that really matters.
That's right.
I don't care if the Ravens win the remainder of their regular season games.
They have to win a playoff game.
Yeah, but not only that, but it's gonna come. I mean, in that case, it could be in Baltimore, it could be in Arrowhead, AFC Conference Championship, and so they could play that no matter where it is. It could be in Frankfurt, Germany, and the Ravens are going to be having a great game, whatever, and Mahomes is just going to beat them. And
I guess we'll have to see, huh?
Yeah, we will have to see, but that's just, I guess that is a lot of opinionated, but it is based off facts. So, I mean, I think, no, not facts. It's based off prior knowledge and prior experiences.
Yeah.
So, just to end it off, I think the Bengals are a threat to the Chiefs because they've beaten them. The Ravens are not. I mean, the Ravens beat them once. The Ravens are not a threat to the Chiefs in any way, especially in the playoffs. Lamar could have a great game, but he is going to lose against the Chiefs when it comes to the playoffs.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, but we'll get to the next headline, yeah?
All right. Yeah, sorry we went a little bit over. Mahomes is an interesting topic.
Yes, it is.
So, all right. We've hit the end of the first quarter, and that takes us into the second quarter headline from Week 9. Steelers beat Titans 20-16 with another fourth quarter comeback touchdown to Deontay Johnson. Can this format take them to where they want to go?
I think so. I mean, I think Kenny Pickett had one of his best games of the year. He went 19 of 30 for 160 yards, a touchdown, no picks. It wasn't a huge yardage total. He didn't throw multiple touchdowns or anything, but he just looked very efficient in the pocket. He had some overthrows, but overall he was very accurate. I thought he did a great job at scrambling and making plays out of nothing that could have been sacks. I think Kenny had a great game, and I think that the offense as a whole looked really solid. Najee Harris had a solid outing, 16 totes for 69 yards and a TD, and Jaylen Warren looked great as usual in his first starting role. And Deontay Johnson, 7 catches, 90 yards and a TD. I mean, the offense went off, and it was a close game, but Will Levis was playing darn well too, and they managed to stifle that rookie sensation, energy, and they pulled out a win in tough fashion, but they did it, and they look good.
I think they did, especially on that first drive. And they drove down the field multiple times, only scoring 2 touchdowns. Obviously, one from Najee, which I loved. But to answer the question, I do agree. I mean, obviously, I agree. I'm a Steelers fan, and not only because of
but even objectively speaking.
Yeah, even objectively speaking. I mean, it hasn't proven that wrong. It hasn't proven, nothing's proven against it. I mean, every single win this year, all 5 of them, have been from fourth quarter comebacks. Right. No, wait, maybe not fourth. Well, kind of fourth quarter comebacks, or they just stayed ahead.
At least a few of the games.
But yeah, the stat I meant to say is all 5 of them were 1 possession games, and all except for the Raiders game, they were losing in the fourth quarter, and they came back. And then the one exception-ish was the Jaguars game where Kenny Pickett didn't play in the first half. So kind of what I'm saying is maybe if he was in that situation, there was a perfect fourth quarter comeback situation. He was not in there, but maybe if he was, they would have won.
Right.
But also on the other side of that, there are some worries. There are a lot of worries. I mean,
what are you worried about?
I'm worried about they start the game, march down the field, get a touchdown.
Worried how they slowed down a little bit?
They slowed down a lot. Their second to last possession, they had the very last possession where they tried to milk the clock up. But the Steelers' second to last possession, they scored. Their first possession, they scored touchdowns. We only really care about touchdowns. I mean, field goals are good, and field goals come when they need to come.
That's a tough Titans defense, though.
Yeah, but as a Steelers fan, I'm sick of field goals. I'm sick of field goals, and I'm sick of not scoring. They went down to the red zone. They kicked like a chip shot field goal after George Pickens, he wasn't able to get the second foot in.
I remember that. Yep, Pickens his left foot barely stepped out.
And he had a horrible game. I mean, I think he was really frustrated. There were a lot of times where it kind of looked like the defense was getting to him, and he ended with -1 yards. And that's a problem. I mean, he's their best offensive player, in my opinion, and I watch every single Steelers game. So it's a problem when he ends the game with -1 yards, because he's normally that player that either on the final drive, either on their game-winning drive, he makes a couple key catches, usually the touchdown,
right.
And
Deontay Johnson came in clutch. He's a dang good receiver.
Yeah, he is really great, and I think his appreciation, it wasn't missed, as I don't think I grew in appreciation for when he was gone earlier this season, but when he came back against the Rams after their bye, that's when my appreciation grew even more, because you could see how important he was with his route running ability. And speaking of, I do want to do this little shout out. It was 655 days since Deontay Johnson got the last touchdown, and 119. He got his touchdown 119 receptions later. Finally, the last quarterback to throw it to him, which they did talk about during the game, was Big Ben. And
really?
Obviously, multiple quarterbacks have played
that's
since
crazy
then.
to me.
Yeah, last year it really was. I mean, it was a struggling quarterbacks, and it is crazy, especially who I think is he's not a top tier wide receiver. He has top tier route running, and
he's easily right there. He's tier 2 for sure.
Yeah, he's top. Yeah, he's definitely tier 2.
Yeah.
But it all kind of comes back to the Steelers' offensive inconsistencies and struggles, and I don't know where they want to go. Like, the question is, will this take them to where they want to go? I don't know exactly where this team should go. I do see playoffs, and I do see a playoff win.
Yeah.
And maybe this could happen, this format of keeping games close and just coming in at the very end and getting the points that you need to at the very end. They've doing it all year. I don't see why that should exactly change.
But you have to be impressed by their running game, right? I mean, they looked a lot better.
They did look a lot better. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. This, I think, was their best. This was their best showing as a duo, especially this season.
Even if it might not have been the most yards, I'm not exactly sure, but they looked like the most efficient running game.
Yeah, I mean, they had the 10-yard touchdown. Jalen Warren had a crucial, I think it was right after Deontay's 36-yard 3rd and 6 catch. They just didn't mess around.
No,
and,
they did not.
Jalen Warren.
Jalen Warren was breaking tackles left and right.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You know, they talked about his tenacity to get to the end zone, and he obviously was pushed out at the 1 yard line, but still, that's 20 yards that he was committed to getting there, and then they ended up throwing the game-winning touchdown to Deontay. But if that's kind of not a hypothetical, but maybe where I see it going, is if that running game does pick up and not only stays like this, but improves. I actually feel very good about I feel a lot better about the Steelers offense, because last year their running game, it ended very well. They ran 100 yards. Najee had a 100-yard game against the Ravens defense last year, who didn't allow a single 100-yard rusher the entire season.
Right.
So
he has the ability to keep doing what he did in this
Yes,
game.
he does. And that was against a top-tier defense, so he can do it against top-tier defenses. He hasn't fully shown it yet, but I still think it's in there.
And Jalen Warren's a little more shifty. He's got a little more, burst.
Yeah, a little bit more
so I think that's probably why they started him, just to, save Najee for when they needed the bruiser. You send him in.
Yeah. Did Jalen Warren start?
He technically started. This was his first start, I believe. He was out on the field a majority of their first snaps.
Oh,
Interestingly enough, even though it's basically like we were saying, how I said Jalen Warner's a second starter,
Yeah, to
Jalen
Najee's.
Warren,
Yeah, Jalen Warren. Yeah.
So I think that it was pretty much split carries. So it's not necessarily he was the starter, but he was technically starting.
I think I have Najee vision.
Crazy.
Since Najee's my favorite
He's
player.
the man, though.
I kind
as far
of
as the run game, he's still the man.
Yeah, I kind of I love Jalen Warren, especially after this year. And honestly, they're two of my favorite players on the offense, along with some others, but they're some of my favorite players. But yeah, I think I do tend to pay more attention to Najee's runs or when he's out there, just slightly more. But now I am starting to realize, hey, when Jalen Warren's out there, he can take it to the end zone. Maybe a little better than Najee, just from multiple distances.
Absolutely.
But what I also do want to talk about with the Steelers is their defense, because no matter how well or unwell, I don't know if that's the right term, Kenny Pickett's been doing, there's been one solid reason why they've been winning games, and without this reason, their record would not nearly be as well as it is, and I think it's their defense. And
absolutely. Especially that play with TJ Watt when his helmet came off and he was just so fired up. That got me fired up. That was awesome. Especially after all the penalties they incurred, just seeing the penalty be on the offense and him just, even despite getting held, he still took Levis down.
And
that's just a microcosm of that defense right there.
Yeah, and that play is an
That's the 2-minute
extension
warning.
of TJ Watt's skills. I mean, obviously, just skill-wise, just physical NFL skill-wise, he's one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player of the year. No, I mean, of the league. Yeah. But when he has his helmet off...
Oh, yeah, I would say best in the league.
Yeah, I would definitely say too. But when he has his helmet off, he gets held, his helmet rips off, he gets the sack, and he celebrates like that. Yeah. That is so huge for a defense. When you see that, when you're rookie Keanu... Man, I can't believe I forgot his last name. Number 95. That's Keanu Benton.
Nailed it.
Okay, good. That would have been embarrassing. But Keanu Benton, when you're a second-round rookie and you see that, you see who obviously he's your best player on defense. But when you see him do that, when you see him kick his leg up,
when you see the leader on defense get fired up like that, it gets you fired up.
Yeah, it's impossible not to. And when that defense gets fired up, I don't care what offense they're playing. If they get fired up and they're
it will start to wreak havoc.
Yeah, they have the ability, similar to any defense, to not only change a game, because we've obviously talked about that, but they have the ability to make the offensive's life heck.
Oh, absolutely.
And they did it against the Browns. They did it against the Ravens, who are obviously in the division, but still. They did it against the Raiders, and they did it against a rookie and Will Levis, who is kind of sensational even in his loss. So I do fear a little bit of the Steelers' offense. If they get their running game, then that's going to help them a lot. But my faith in the defense makes me feel more comfortable. Not that we're supposed to seek comfort, but it makes me feel better about this team and their formats, knowing TJ Watt's going to be there when he needs to be there, getting a sack on third down, getting a sack fumble on third down, and the defense is going to do what they need to do.
Absolutely, I agree. You know, the defense is going to continue to help carry them, and the offense is looking a lot better for the Steelers. And that will conclude the first half of In Your Face Sports. Join us after the 10-minute halftime show as we continue to break down Week 8 of the 2023 NFL season.
Nice. You're listening to
We didn't talk
In Your
about-
Face Sports.
Maybe we could start the second.
Here at Cuesta College.
That's it. Don't be shy now.
Produced by DHK Productions.
And you're listening to KGUR. This is In Your Face Sports by DHK Productions. And this is the halftime show for In Your Face Sports. Bringing it to our first tune, we're going to be listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication. Please enjoy.
Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation. And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotation. And if you want these kind of dreams, it's Californication. It's the edge of the world in all of Western civilization. The sun may rise in the east, at least it's settled in a final location. It's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. Hey, your Sergeant Barrow, while to break the spell of aging. Celebrity skin, is this your tender? Is that war you're waging? Firstborn unicorn, hardcore, softcore. Destruction leads to a very rough road, but it also breeds creation. An earthquake's out to a girl's guitar, that's just another good vibration. And tidal wave couldn't save the world from Californication. May I surgeon Mary while they break the spell of aging. Sicker than the rest, there is no test, but this is what you're craving. Firstborn unicorn, hardcore softcore. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.
All right. Thank you to the Red Hot Chili Peppers for that fantastic tune. That'll bring us to the second song of the In Your Face halftime music show. This will bring us to Tupac's Thug's Mansion, right here on KGUR. This is, of course, the clean version for all you loyalists out there, but hey, we got to keep it up with the radio wave. So once again, this is Tupac's Thug Mansion. Take it away, buddy.
Shot at, tired of getting chased by the police and arrested. Just need a spot where we can kick it, a spot where we belong, that's just for us. Just ain't gotta get all dressed up and be Hollywood. You know what I mean? Where the go when we die? Ain't no heaven for a thug. That's why we go to Thug Mansion. That's the only place where thugs getting free and you gotta be a G. At Thug Mansion. A place to spend my quiet nights, time to unwind, so much pressure in this life of mine. I cried times I once contemplated suicide and would have tried, but when I held that knife, all I could see was my mama's eyes. No one knows my struggle, they only see the trouble, not knowing it's hard to carry on when no one loves you. Picture me inside the misery of poverty. No man alive has ever witnessed struggles I survived. Praying hard for better days, promise to hold on. Me and my dogs ain't have a choice but to roll on. We found a finally spot to kick it, where we could drink liquor and no one bickers over trick. A spot where we can smoke in peace. And even though we G's, we still visualize places that we can roll in peace. And in my mind's eye, I see this place the players going past. I got a spot for us all, so we can ball at Thug's Mansion. Fights in the darkness, trouble sparks. They tell me home is where the heart is, dear departed. I shed tattooed tears and couldn't sleep good for multiple years. Witness peers, cats, gunshots, nobody cares. Seen the politicians ban us, they rather see us locked in chains. Please explain why they can't stand us. Is there a way for me to change? Or am I just a victim of things I did to maintain? I need a place to rest my head with the little bit of homeboys that remain. Cause all the rest there, is there a spot for us to grow? If you find it, I'll be right behind you. Show me and I'll go. How can I be peaceful? I'm coming from the bottom. Watch my daddy scream peace while the other man shot him. I need a house that's full of love when I need to escape the deadly places slinging drugs in Thug's Mansion. Your baby boy's doing good. Tell the homies I'm in heaven and they ain't got hoods. Seen a show with Marvin Gaye last night. It had me shook, dripping peppermint schnapps with Jackie Wilson and Sam Cooke. Then some lady named Billie Holiday sang, sitting there kicking it with Malcolm to the day came. Little Natasha show grown. Tell the lady in the liquor store that she's forgiven. So come home. Maybe in time you understand. Only God can save us. When Miles Davis cutting loose with the band. Just think all the people that you knew in the past that passed on. They in heaven found peace that lasts. Picture a place that they exist together. There has to be a place better than this in heaven. So right before I sleep, dear God, what I'm asking, remember this face, save me a place in Thug's Mansion.
right, all right. And that will conclude the In Your Face Sports halftime music show. And that'll bring us to our regular program broadcasting. You're listening to KGUR Cuesta College, right here on the Cuesta College campus. Take it away for your next bit of programming for the other half of In Your Face Sports.
You're listening to In Your Face Sports
Time to pick up some yards.
here at Cuesta College.
That's it. Don't be shy now.
Produced by DHK Productions.
We're back from the Cougar halftime show and on to the third quarter headline. The 49ers and Jaguars face off in Jacksonville on Sunday, each team coming back from a bye week in Week 9. Will the Niners make a comeback, or will they flounder like they did the last few games?
I think the Niners are going to make a comeback, especially with the addition of Chase Young, because I had to rep the Niners a little bit. I feel like they already were kind of destined for a comeback. I mean, they can't lose 4 games in a row.
No, there's no way.
Especially with how good of a team they are. I mean, no matter how much they struggled the last 3 weeks, the Bengals, I feel like if you're a good team, then you're going to you're going to have that one point in the season, you're going to say, okay, we are a good team, and you guys are about to see how. But just that, in addition to Chase Young coming back.
That Chase Young pickup was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they got him for nickels, and like a bottle of soda. I mean, they got him on under $1 million contract for the year, and they still have like $40 million in cap space. The Niners do. And he's just going to add so much ferocity to that defensive line that, we thought Drake Jackson or Clelin Ferrell would provide that. But it just hasn't been showing up really since the first couple weeks, that defensive ferocity. I mean, against the Cowboys, of course, but I think it's going to be a huge addition.
And it is they should gel well together because it is kind of going back to when Bosa and Young played at Ohio State.
Absolutely.
And obviously,
the brothers are back.
Yeah. And obviously there's like multiple factors, but it could be worth noting that in 2018, I believe, or 2019 draft, Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa. I was mixing all sorts of names. But Nick Bosa was the second overall pick, and just a year later, Chase Young was also the second overall pick, and they both have had the last few years of doing pretty well. They can both pull out seasons that they both played really well.
Chase Young's been hurt here and there, and people have concerns with that, 49ers fans and NFL fans alike, but I think that with this new team that he's on, getting away from the Commanders, not that they're a bad team, but this is like a winning environment for him. Chase Young said on the interview that he can feel the energy is different in the building, and that he's happy to be back with his brother Nick, of course. I think he's going to have a surge and a spark on top of already having 5 sacks on the season. I think it's going to really elevate this 49ers defense if Steve Wilkes can get his head out of his butt and get on the sideline.
We know how you feel about him.
Right.
Wait, speaking of, this is kind of random. It kind of connects. For the first time, the Steelers offensive coordinator, not to take it back to the Steelers, but it could apply to the situation. Matt Canada, he was on the sideline for his first time in his entire career, collegiate and professional, and the Steelers went down the first drive and scored a touchdown. So maybe
it makes a difference.
I think it does. And
Steve has to get down there. He has to be like pumping his players up. He's got to be a leader.
Yeah, kind of getting in there with Nick Bosa and Chase Young and saying, hey, it's third down. You got to get this sack right now or else we are losing this game. And then obviously that's like a specific scenario. But, I mean, that's Nick Bosa has been kind of lacking from doing that so far this year. And what I do also think is you talked about how Chase Young can feel this environment. And obviously, I mean, you see videos of them like walking out, the 49ers walking out of the locker room with this last speaker.
Yeah.
And then like in practice, they're all dancing together. Like that type of
They need
environment.
that vibe the whole game.
Yeah, and they need it. They kind of need it back.
Yeah.
Like they've lost it a little bit. I mean, it's either you could obviously like.
Because, yeah, with D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh, they had that vibe, you know?
Yeah. Maybe with the little youth, too.
Yeah.
Because they had that. But, yeah, you're right. So then they do, but they need to get it back. And I think Chase Young will come in here and be like, okay, I like this. I like being a part of this team. And then maybe with Nick Bosa, he'll be like, okay, I got Chase Young back. I got him across the other line.
Yeah.
Not only just him specifically back, but I have an elite edge rusher opposition to me. So,
100%.
Pushes them. It pushes each of them to not, like, in a bit of a way of competition, and I just learned more about this year. Like wide receivers, they have a bit of a competition. They're like, okay, he makes a play, the other wide receiver, so now I got to make a play. And I think, especially with two top-tier edge rushers, I think it's going to work a little bit like that.
Yeah, let's just put it this way. Steve Wilkes, you have run out of excuses. Because you got Chase Young now coming from the Commanders. You got multiple players coming back from injury. You got, Drain Greenlaw probably going to come back from the shoulder injury this week. You got Darrell Luter Jr. and Sammy Womack in that secondary who are returning from the PUP list. You got some young studs back there. Trent Williams should be back on offense. It's a slightly separate issue, but overall for the team is huge, obviously. So, yeah, Steve, you better come through, man. You better have some new schemes ready. You better be on that sideline in the next few weeks because, you've got an all-time defense that you're working with.
All right, now how do you feel about Jacksonville? Because they're
scary, man.
Yeah, 5-game winning streak. They have no reason to have any doubt in our minds.
No. This is going to be a really good game. Like we said, both teams are off a bye week. So Jacksonville has had some time to rest as well. And they're an amazing team. Trevor Lawrence is playing lights out. His numbers aren't the best at the moment. He's got 9 touchdowns to 4 picks, 1,900 yards, which is really good, 93% QB rating with a 68.3 completion percentage, which ironically is actually the exact same as Brock Purdy's completion percentage. Whoa, scary. But, this is going to be a tale of two quarterbacks and a tale of two defenses because the defense for the Jaguars is arguably top 10,
Is and opportunistic.
Yes, they're number one in takeaways per game, not turnover ratio, but just purely takeaways per game on defense with 2.3 per game. And they are the 10th ranked scoring defense. They only allow 24 points per game. So this is going to be a stout defense that Purdy's facing. This is going to be, for sure, a challenge, especially on the road on the East Coast down south. This is going to be a toughie even after a bye week for the Niners.
And not getting all my names mixed up. And Trevor Lawrence, I think his knee was pretty healthy. I mean, just a few games ago, he led his team in rushing. He did very well against the Steelers. But just with that bye, he should just be even healthier. And, he's dangerous when he's healthy. He's dangerous rushing. He's obviously dangerous throwing.
Yeah, he's niftier than you'd expect, huh?
Yeah, and he can get going, too.
Kind of like Brock Purdy. It's very interesting how similar they're playing this year.
Yeah, they really are going. And then, a few interceptions. Not even too much. You said 4, right?
Yeah, 9-4. Yeah.
Okay, which, I guess, compared to, he is kind of in that top tier level of quarterback. So even when 9-4 may seem pretty good, you do have to consider, he's kind of on that level of.
It's like Joe Burrow, he only has, I think after this last game, 12 touchdowns to 4 picks, and before that it was 10-4. But he's one of the best in the game, and that's kind of how you feel about Trevor.
Yeah, so maybe you're expecting the numbers to be a little bit better, but still 9-4 is good. And I think it also could be worth mentioning is, that one last interception that he threw against the Steelers, it was a horrible play. It was he could have I mean, he was in the red zone. He felt the pressure, and he kind of just tossed it up. And then DeMonte KZ easily just jumped up and intercepted it. But that is kind of, I mean, it seemed like a small thing, and obviously the Jaguars won by 10, so it kind of got washed away a little bit. But, if you make any plays like that
Against the 49ers?
Against the 49ers defense, there's a chance they could end the play with a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against, nothing more than it sounds. Not trying to hype up the Niners defense any more than what they've shown or what they have. But, that just you can't make those types of mistakes.
Especially with the new pieces that are either coming back or that they've added.
Yeah, and then, and Chase Young's going to pressure you, and Nick Bosa's going to pressure you.
They better.
If they don't, they're going to lose. I
swear, if they send another 7-man blitz with 30 seconds left, I'm going to poop my pants.
I mean, maybe, I might be here for that, because maybe Calvin Ridley will be open for a touchdown after that. But I have no preference between who would win.
That's the 2-minute warning.
That's the 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning.
All right. So maybe I'll end off by saying a quick piece about kind of where my prediction comes from. The Jaguars are on a 5-game winning streak. The Niners are on a 3-game losing streak. Both coming off the bye.
Something's got to give, right?
Yeah, something's got to give. And obviously, you look at those two. You look at the paper facts, and you say, well, why wouldn't Jacksonville win? Why not win a 6th in a row and then have a losing streak? Yeah, at home.
I think it's going to come down to Glock Purdy. I think he's got to just, sling it, have those games you were having in the first 5 games of the season, get back to what you've been doing and forget about the mistakes. Just go out there and play some ball.
And I think,
especially with Debo and Trent coming back.
And I think he will, because he knows all good quarterbacks know. All playoff team quarterbacks know, okay, this is when we have to win, and I think this is when the Niners have to win.
This is almost a must-win game.
Yeah, it almost is a must. And with that being said, no matter what losing streak they're on, no matter what winning streak they're on, I think 49ers are going to go into this game and say, we got players back, we got new players, we got to win this, and it's what we're going to do.
Let's go get this thing.
So that's the end the talk about the 49ers. I am very excited for that game. I don't have any skin in the game, but I'm looking forward to seeing this, honestly, not playoff impacting, but it'll show a lot about the teams. It'll show what each team has in the tank, or it'll show the two teams' abilities, which we want to know for when it comes to playoffs. So this is a very important game, and I'm excited.
Oh, me too. I mean, the 49ers, they got to be able to come back on this one, and if they don't, then their season just isn't looking too great. Like I said, Steve Wilkes, this is your last chance. If you can't get it together, then you're out of here. All right, we'll move on now.
All right. Right here on College Video, and up is the 4th and final quarter headline. Cowboys make a few late game mistakes, losing to the 8-1 Eagles. Are the Eagles as good as the record says, and do we know everything we need to know about them boys?
I think the Eagles are just about as good as the record says. I wouldn't say that they're the most dangerous team in the NFL, though, so I would say no. Personally, I think that they are, obviously, they got the best record, so they're the highest seeded team. But I think they've shown some vulnerabilities, especially on offense. And while the defense is fantastic with Hassan Reddick and, Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, I think they've shown some inconsistencies. They could have very easily lost to the Cowboys. And I think we do know just about everything we need to know about them boys. I mean, that was kind of... Dak Prescott had an amazing game. You got to give him that. He outthrew Jalen Hurts and arguably outplayed him overall. But when it came right down to it, he took that sack on 2nd down, or I think it was on 1st down, and then he threw an incomplete pass right at the end of the game. And, when you're in that kind of situation, you just can't take that sack.
And I love that wording that you use when it came down to it, and then you proceeded to name Dak mistakes. And I don't want to trash on Dak too much. I mean, he did have a great game.
He gets enough as it is,
Yeah, he had
longest yard memes and all of that.
He did. He had a better year. But, I mean, that's kind of the facts. When it got down to it, he just didn't do it. When it got down to playing the Niners last year, he couldn't do it. When it got down to playing them before his final drive, he couldn't do it. He rushed, he ran out of time. So when it gets down to it, I didn't mean to say that so much, but I want to emphasize that. When it gets down to it, the Cowboys haven't done it. And to answer kind of both questions, I agree, and I do not think the Eagles are as good as their record says. I mean, not even just comparing it to last year, but just comparing their games to like other games of good teams, such as like the Bengals and Chiefs and Ravens. I mean, they barely beat the Vikings.
Barely beat the Commanders.
Yeah, barely beat the Commanders both times. And then the loss to the Jets, I'll give it to them. Every team loses to a good or bad team. Every team loses at one point. I'm not gonna blame them.
To a bad team.
Yeah, to a bad team. But the close wins, those aren't the type of wins that Super Bowl winning teams get, and they are obviously at the tier of Super Bowl winning teams. But I need to see. I want to see them
more
consistent.
from Jalen Hurts, like consistently being able to throw downfield. And I'm with you.
Yeah.
They need to be more consistent on offense.
And even on defense too. I mean, they gave up like those huge. They gave up that 76-yard touchdown against Jordan Addison, and they're making some mistakes that like bad teams make, and obviously they are not a bad team. But when you're 8-1 and your goal is to win another Super Bowl, you have to keep your foot on their throat, on your opponent's throat, all
Absolutely.
4 quarters. And if it gets to overtime, you have to clutch up and win, and that's what the good teams do. That's what Mahomes does. That's what Burrow does. I'm going to use them as my only 2 examples right now, but still, Jalen Hurts can be in that tier, and they have won, so I won't dig into them so deep because they've won more games than every other team, but I don't think it's going to, so far, if they continue to play the way they've been playing, I don't think it's going to translate into the playoffs as nearly as well as it did last year.
Or as the record indicates.
Yeah,
currently.
as well as their first seed or seeding one place. And along with the Cowboys, you said Dak Prescott had a great game. I think he did. 190, one of those, I think it was like 360-something yards in total. 190, one of those did go to CeeDee Lamb. And that's not taking anything away from Dak. I mean, I love CeeDee Lamb. They're going to CeeDee's playoffs probably. But I kind of want to challenge, but also ask, given you said Dak outplayed Jalen Hurts.
I'd say slightly through the air.
Okay, slightly through the air and stuff. So, was Dak the reason for them losing this? Or who was the reason?
It's so funny. It's a big conundrum. He was the reason they were in the game, but he was also the reason they lost. The Eagles are 8 and Dak now. If you know the meme, he's that flip over onto his head. Being short of the goal line with the throw to, I think, Ferguson. And then missing a couple of wide open 4th down throws, including that one that was short of the goal line. He had a wide open receiver in the end zone.
Didn't spike the ball, too, when he had the opportunity.
Absolutely. He kind of just played some backyard football. I think he panics a little bit. I still think he's a very good quarterback. I think he catches a lot more flack than most quarterbacks in the league. I think he gets memed a lot more than most quarterbacks in the league.
Definitely. I mean, when you're part of America's team and you're playing like that,
it's going to happen.
Especially the Cowboys. Now,
but you have to give him credit. He didn't throw a single pick. And,
that is impressive.
But at the same time, like I said, that sack he took made it 3rd and 21 or 2nd and 21. Then he threw an incomplete pass, and then they get a false start penalty, which isn't totally on him, but it's on the team, it's on the offense.
So
and then that makes it 3rd and 26 from like the 32-yard line, and at that point, with 5 seconds, the game's over, essentially, and that's what happened. He threw it to CeeDee Lamb. He may have caught it, may have fumbled it, but either way, even if he had caught it all the way, he was short of the goal line, and that was game. So it's got to be moments like that where he can't take the sack. He's got to, He's got to get that ball out quick, especially when you're that close to the goal line. You can't hold on to it that long.
And I do want to point out another thing you said is you kind of talked about how Dak panics a little bit or has a tendency to sometimes panic. We need to realize he was drafted in 2016. He's been in the league
7 years?
Yeah,
this is the 7th year? Yeah.
Yeah, like 7
Eighth
or
year?
and maybe 8 years because I
Yeah,
think all the
this is 8th year.
2017 players
Yeah.
were this. So, like, what are you doing?
There's really no
panicking?
excuses, yeah.
I mean, Will Levis is coming in, and it's not a perfect comparison, but Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, they're coming in, and they're not panicking that much. And is it just, I mean, this is kind of a figurative question or whatever, but, like, is it just Dak's ability, like, is it just Dak's inability as a quarterback? Can he, not saying he's a bad quarterback, but, you know, you can't be panicking when you're in your 8th year. I mean, you've seen so many defenses. You've seen so many things.
I'm exactly with you on that.
Yeah, it's his job to be like, okay, I've been in this situation a lot. It's not, not to go, like, all crazy, but it's against a divisional rival. I mean, when you're in any game, but when you're in a divisional rival specifically, you're like, okay, this is my chance to march down the field and win.
And not take a game-ending sack.
Yeah, not take a game-ending sack. I mean, I don't know exactly what the huddle is like. I'm not an NFL quarterback, but, you know, you're telling your offensive line or you're telling your offense in that huddle, hey, we're not taking any penalties. We're not taking a sack. You know, I mean, obviously he's the quarterback. He would take the sack, but still, you communicate all this with your offense, and you say, this is our chance to go break the hearts of Philadelphia fans, something we love to do, speaking as the Cowboys, because who doesn't love to be, I mean, there's top-tier rivalries, you know.
Steelers-Ravens.
Yeah, Steelers-Ravens, Niners-Seahawks, and Cowboys Packers, yeah, you know, I'm not going to name them all. Packers, Bears, I'm not going to name them all. But the Cowboys and Eagles are top 3.
One of the most intense rivalries right now, for sure.
Yeah, and you play like
That's the 2-minute warning.
That's the 2-minute warning right now.
And it's great that we're talking about the 2-minute warning with Dak Prescott, because just like we haven't been using it well this episode, he didn't use it very well either.
You know who did play some good quarterback this weekend, though? A couple of guys. First off, C.J. Stroud broke the rookie record for passing yards in a game and 5 touchdowns. Woo!
Yeah, he went off.
Goodness gracious.
And, you know, this hurts me.
Against a good team, too, the Bucks.
Yeah,
comeback win, too.
A great, I mean, scoring 39 points.
And Tank Dell, like, rookie receiver, man, over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both boys are going off.
Yeah, he's doing great, and obviously he did well against the Steelers. And not to bring up the Steelers again, and honestly it hurts too, but from a few different sources, I got a text sent to me.
Oh, when the Texans beat the
Well,
Steelers.
that plus another thing, C.J. Stroud actually has officially more passing touchdowns than Kenny Pickett. And that sounds, I mean, it hurts. And it sucks a little bit.
Pickett will catch up. It's only a second year.
Yeah, I think the stats, I mean, it hurts a little bit, and especially it hurts because it gives like the Steelers haters ammunition to hate against Steelers, and obviously you never want to see that. I don't value it too much, but still, I mean, C.J. Stroud.
He's an MVP candidate at this point.
He really is.
14 touchdowns to 1 pick with all the yardage he's got, and like he's got his team at 4-4 as a rookie. I mean,
he has the Texans
insane.
at 4-4 too.
Yeah, the Texans at 4-4. That's just crazy.
I mean, yeah, he's
Crazy
really
cool.
playing absurd. He's playing like, you know, it's kind of crazy.
Very fun to watch.
It is, yeah, it's very fun. And then you know, Anthony Richardson is out of the year, so he's kind of, no one talks really about him. And
obviously Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
I mean, he doesn't have as good a team around him, but
Yeah.
he has not been performing as well as C.J. Stroud. He was throwing very bad picks.
Yeah, he's struggling
in
a lot,
game
and maybe
this
it has
past
something.
weekend.
Yeah, maybe that's something to do with the team. But you know, Will Levis and C.J. Stroud both in the
They're
same
kind of
division.
the cream of the crop right now.
Yeah, they're the cream, and they're given reasons to talk about. And so, ending off on them, I'm excited about watching C.J. Stroud. And even though we
too.
are going a little bit over, we both wanted to talk a little bit
Yeah, we got to
about-
talk about the Pastronaut real fast. Josh Dobbs. Oh my gosh, his first career comeback win. That was cool against the Falcons. I mean, it looks like the Vikings got their quarterback for the season with Kirk O'Chain's out, huh?
Yeah, it really does, and it is really cool, and it's really cool too. And I don't know if I talked about this last episode, but I know I talked about it with some people. The Cardinals, they were struggling. They were doing well, But just considering, I mean, they have a lot of players. They lost D-Hop. They lost Isaiah Simmons. They were not expected to win, and they were doing very well. Josh Dobbs was doing well. But the Vikings, they have a pretty good team, even with Justin Jefferson out.
Solid roster.
Yeah, so I think it's great. It's like a really cool
Jordan Addison,
opportunity.
KJ Osborne.
Yeah,
you know,
T.J. Hawkinson, who's hurt. I have him on
Alex Madison,
fantasy.
who's picking up.
Yeah, but
But yeah, when you got 3 total touchdowns, a game-winning drive, no mistakes.
it's a
Go
great,
Josh.
Yeah, go off, and it's a great opportunity.
Even as a
for him.
49er fan, I'm rooting for you, buddy.
I appreciate that. But yeah, just kind of ending it off by saying, like, this is an opportunity for him to reach the playoffs. He was never going to get that with the Cardinals, and he was still, I mean, it's like, he was kind of like that meme of, like a Maserati in, like, a really, the meme, like, a really nice car in, like, a very trash, like, garage. Have you ever seen that? So they're like, he's the Maserati that's in the trash. Maybe we'll throw that up or put that on the comment section, or if you guys know about it, tell us. But yeah, he was kind of like that. But now
Kind of got upgraded to like pretty nice house.
Yeah, a little nicer garage, and he's like, okay, now he can.
Soda ain't bad.
Maximize his speed, not specifically speed, but in the car metaphor.
He gets, yeah, absolutely. He gets to maximize his potential, and he finally gets a real chance. And we're
I think
happy
he's
for
gonna
him.
take it.
Go Pastronaut.
Yeah, go off.
Go
former
off,
Steeler,
buddy.
even though he's a former Brown, former Steeler first. And
Gotta give him some props, right?
Yeah, and I'm excited for him this season.
All right, you guys. Well, that's all the time we have for today. You've been listening to In Your Face Sports here at Cuesta College. Tune in next week for more In Your Face headlines as we cover Week 10 of the NFL 2023 season. We'll see you later, yeah?
You're listening to In Your Face Sports
Time to pick up some yards.
here at Cuesta College.
That's it. Don't be shy now.
Produced by DHK Productions.
You're listening to Cuesta College Radio on KEPF 97.